it's the ecological cycle with water. So the different fates of water together, together the materials that is suspended in it, and including also the organisms that inhabit bodies of water. So we have from household we have the production of organic wastes, wherein these organic wastes, with the action of bacteria and microorganisms, will be converted into inorganic waste that will be used by aquatic organisms like of algae and phytoplanktons in bodies of water for their nutrition and therefore growth and development. Also, the solar energy coming from the sun is being used by these organisms in order to undergo photosynthesis in the production of energy, particularly chemical energy. Okay, so aside from inorganic waste coming from this waste from household, okay, fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides are also contributory factor to the inorganic supply of nutrients to these organisms. So these organisms are being used as food item for other aquatic organisms just like of fishes and other invertebrates. Okay, so some of the inorganic materials coming from agricultural lands which is being brought by surface runoff to bodies of water are being used also by other aquatic organisms, just like of fishes. So within these bodies of water, their waste materials also contribute to what is so-called inorganic waste, which is also deposited in the bodies of water they inhabit. So most probably this represents the ecological cycle of water. Okay, so the ecological cycle of water seems to be balanced. Okay, considering carrying capacity, considering that um, only minimal amount of waste, okay, will go onto bodies of water at the same time that the bodies of water can tolerate. But within the increasing or rapid increase in population and rapid waste production, so hindi na kaya mismong i-tolerate ng bodies of water kaya nagkakaroon ng what we so called pollution. Okay. So, aside from surface water pollution na discuss natin in different sources, we have also groundwater pollution. So, this groundwater pollution or aquifer, ito yung water area na nasa ilalim ng lupa kung saan ito yung source ng water on deep wells. Okay, so may mga establishment and even household na kumukuha ng water underground. Okay, especially for those areas na malapit sa aquifer or groundwater table. Okay, yun yung mga area na medyo mababa. So doon nagsisip in yung water sa pababa, sa ground, sa ilalim ng ground. And then, doon sila naiipon. So, pwedeng kumuha ng water sources ng water. Just like of what I am the best example yung mga poso. Okay? So, doon kumukuha ng water sa aquifer or ground table. So, there are instances that these groundwater become polluted. Okay? So, there are certain chemicals from various sources just like of dam sites, okay, yung mga basura, dam sites, landfill sites. So, meron kasi ito silang fluid na pinoproduce na tinatawag na leachate. Okay. So, we will discuss leachate later in this incoming slides. We have also mining sites, especially for responsible mining. So, may mga chemicals just like of mercury nagsisip in or even heavy metals that seeps into the groundwater table. Meron din mga gas pipes, mga leakage and gas pipes, especially for geothermal uh, geothermal power sources, okay, or geothermal power sites. Ayan. So for example, in this particular figure, it shows you the location of the water table and the aquifer. So, ito yung source of water, deep well for example. So, dito kumukuha ng water. So, there are instances that there are tanks which collects waste from household. Okay? So, may instances na pwedeng mag ano siya, mag overflow and magsisip in. Okay? towards groundwater. Yan. So may unique na may suggested na size for a septic tank for a household kung para maiwasan itong mga ganitong events. However, with the movement of land, for example, just like of earthquake, pwede kasing ma-break itong mga lining ng septic tank. And there are instances waste may seep into those breaks or crevices. So, pwede niyang mag-seep in doon dahil nabiak ito gawa ng paggalaw ng lupa during earthquake. So, pwedeng mangyari yon. Or, pwede siyang mag-overflow gaya nito. Yan. Yan. So, pwedeng mag-percolate siya. Ayan, pailalim. So, makukontaminate niya ang water table. Ayan. Okay. So, in dump sites like of landfill and landfill and dump site mismo, open dump site. So, meron kasi silang napoproduce sa tinatawag na leachate. So, leachates are a mixture of organic and inorganic substances from dump sites and landfill sites. Kung, di ba, you all know that land sites and landfill are exposed or exposed areas. So, maliban sa landfill, kasi ang landfill ay natatabunan ng lupa, but then again, they are very exposed to precipitation. So, yung tubig ng galing sa ulan, pwede nila kasing pumunta doon sa basura, and then it will absorb some of the chemicals or compounds na nasa basura, and then magsisip in yon on sa pinakailalim na part nung dump site or landfill mismo. So they are producing this type of fluid. This is called the leachate. So ang proper neto, dapat may collecting area for the leachate. In this case, wala kayong makikitang collecting area. At the same time, there is no lining that protects the soil from the leachate. So dapat may lining pa to. So you will expect in this particular case that the leachate seeps in within the ground. So pwede siyang mag-infiltrate from the ground. So pwede niya makontaminate kung meron mang malapit na aquifer area. Okay. So itong figure na to, ito yung isa sa mga leachate impoundment area na isang dam site in Laguna where I am working dati on my MSDD. The leachate is being impounded in this particular pond where there is particular vegetation. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng inorganic waste ay na-absorb na ng plants nito. So, yon. Ang problema dito is that how to collect and to eliminate organic compounds na nasa plants. Hindi naman pwedeng kainin kasi there is what we called bioaccumulation. Hindi siya pwedeng kahit kangkong pa ang nandyan, hindi siya pwedeng kainin gawa ng meron tayong tinatawag na bioaccumulation. Pwedeng mag-accumulate doon sa last order consumer yung inorganic materials which can be of toxic compound. So, may ipon saka magkakaroon ng effect doon sa last order consumer yung organic materials na yun and even toxic materials. Okay. So, this is in Payatas. Okay. So, dito yung pinaka bundok ng basura. So, you will expect that since ito ay bundok ng basura, so lahat ng dito pag umulan, nagsisip in sa pinakababa na water table. Or kung I think there is a particular stream or river na malapit dito, so you will expect that the river or stream is already contaminated, okay, of the leachate coming from this dam site. So this dam site is already closed. So lahat ng dam sites within the Philippines are prohibited to operate kasi nga we are looking for or we are aiming for the conversion of dam site into landfill sites kasi mas ideal ang landfill sites than dam sites. Bakit? So this is the desired design for a landfill area. So we have the different layers. So maghuhukay ngayon ng area para sa landfill site. So within the lower part, magkakaroon ng clay barrier. So this clay barrier prohibits the leachate coming from the garbages, okay, papunta dun sa soil. So malilimit na yung infiltration ng leachate. At the same time, merong plastic liner, so hindi mag-penetrate, okay, maiwasan ding mag-infiltrate yung leachate. And there should be a leachate collecting pipes. So, i-collect ng leachate para hindi naman ma-impound dito yung tubig, okay, na galing sa basura, may collecting pipes yan, and then it should be stored in a well-designed pond, leachate pond. So ito yung mga basura, if you sell. So every day na may nagtatapon dito, ang sa landfill ang ginagawa is tinatabunan nila ng lupa. This is to eliminate the population of vectors of diseases just like of rats and even flies. Yan. So, everyday, pag may tinatapon, may daily cover na nilalagay. So, ito yung pinaka-desired. Ay, wala dito yung yung leachate collecting pond. So, dapat yung pond na yon mag-undergo din ng treatment process. Okay? So, may mga bioremediation process dapat na mangyari doon sa leachate na nako-collect from the landfill area para hindi siya mag-penetrate on the groundwater table or the aquifer. So yan. So in mining areas, for example, this is what taken from Bagong Bayan. So as you can see, so yung water na ginagamit in mining areas sa loob, yung sa tunnel na to, goes into directly to the soil, walang lining. So most probably the waste materials that within this particular water running through from the tunnel ay nagsisip in din agad sa bodies of water. Ito ay konektado sa rivers na malapit dito sa mining area na to. Kasi bundok to eh. Yan. So, dire-diretso yun siya. Walang lining. Okay, so that contributes also to groundwater pollution, even surface water pollution. Okay. So, aside from groundwater pollution, meron yung pollution in estuaries. Okay, ito yung, we have discussed this on topic 2, where the salt water and fresh water needs. So, yung mga tinatapon sa mga rivers, most likely mga basura, ay naiipon in some areas of estuaries. Okay? So, great amount of carbon stock is found in estuaries, economically important aquatic organisms as culture in this type of habitat. Just like aside from basura, pwede din siyang fish pond. Okay? Napaka-rich kasi ng estuaries, mataas ang carbon stock niya. So, mas pinaka-productive siya in different is compared to different types of aquatic ecosystems. So, estuaries dito ang shrimps minsan, ang bangus dito nire-raise sa estuarine area. So, most probably, aside from the basura, yung organic waste accumulation gawa ng mga aquaculture ponds na nandito sa estuaries also contribute to estuary pollution. Kasi pag naglagay ka dito ng fish pond, of course, estuary are very known as a habitat for mangroves. So if you're using this one as what? As a fish pond, kailangan mo i-clear yung mangrove. Mangrove is very important for small fishes as their ground for growth. Kasi yun yung nagbabuffer ng waves. So, parang yung seawater organisms just like of fishes dito nangingitlog and then pag lumaki na, babalik ulit sila sa ano. So, parang breeding ground ang mangrove. So, yun yung isang trade-off. Kung magpo-put up ka ng fish pond, so you will clear the mangrove area. Ayan. So, which is very important habitat for both terrestrial and aquatic organisms. Ayan. So we have also marine pollution, the catch basin of all bodies of water. So lahat ng mga organic waste and inorganic waste na nagta-travel sa runoff papunta sa river ay magsisink in lahat or magsisink lahat doon sa oceans or seawater. So this is was taken from Boracay. So as you can see, domestic wastes from hotels and restaurants are being nakita nila na being disposed to the deeper part of Boracay. So may mga pipes sila for waste. So ito ay I think tinanggal na, hinukay na, tiningnan yung mga pipes na ito at saka tinanggal. Ito kasi nagko-contribute dito sa kung nakikita nyo dati yung Boracay green, this is our algal bloom or eutrophication. So, this is over-enrichment of the bodies of water. Ibig sabihin, nagsusupply ng inorganic waste yung waste material na tinapon mo sa dagat is being converted into inorganic waste for the nutrition of algae. So, hindi magandang tingnan na green na yung bodies of water kasi it indicates that there are waste materials being disposed to the water. Okay? So, hindi siya magandang indicator. So, makikita mo dito that fecal coliform and other uh, undesired pollutants are already present in bodies of water. Okay, so this is the main indicator na ma-recognize mo if there is disposal of inorganic waste sa bodies of water, yung overpopulation ng algae, magiging green na yung bodies of water. Okay. So aside from disposal, we have also overfishing as one of the main threat to bodies of water. So illegal fishing, so we have dynamite fishing, yan. So pinapatay niya yung other maliliit na lahat na klase ng organisms on the aquatic ecosystem. So ito kasi itong overexploitation of aquatic organisms, they tend to um, distract the balance in the aquatic ecosystem, okay, for the human benefits also. So of course itong cyanide fishing, it contributes cyanide within bodies of water which affects also other organisms. So kumbaga, although these are not pollutants, but these actions or overexploitation of resources can hamper the balance on the aquatic ecosystem. Pag nawala din yung balance, ayun, mawawala yung capacity niya na mag-treat ng some of the waste. Okay? So, problematic na nga kung nandyan pa yung balance dahil masyadong marami yung waste na tinatapon, mas nagiging problematic if nawawala yung balance dahil konti na lang yung organisms on bodies of water. Okay. So this is eutrophication, yung sinasabi ko, that over-enrichment of bodies of water. So as you can see, accumulation of organic materials in bodies of water that enhances the growth of autotrophic organisms such as algae and phytoplanktons. And one indicator of that is the greening of surface of the water. So most likely algae and phytoplanktons are located in surface of water. So anong nagiging epekto nito? So makikita mo yung sources ng enrichment, so fertilizer, runoff, and other sources. Ang ginagawa kasi ng algae, since nasa surface siya, binablock niya yung sunlight, okay, on bodies of water. So, may mga algae sa ilalim, or beneficial plants sa ilalim, that supplies oxygen to the water. So, within this case, na i-inhibit ng overpopulation ng algae at the surface yung oxygen na nasa ilalim ng bodies of water, which causes aquatic organism to die. It is because of the absence or minimal amount of oxygen. Okay? So, dito, in this case, pag merong eutrophication, mataas ang tinatawag nating biological oxygen demand. So, ibig sabihin, pag tumaas yung biological oxygen demand, bumababa yung oxygen in water. Dahil yung BOD, yun yung amount ng oxygen na kailangan ng organisms na nasa tubig. Okay? So, pag tumaas yun, bababa yung dissolved oxygen, mababa yung oxygen na nasa bodies of water. Okay. So, ito din yung dahilan, yung category ng lakes for oligotrophic and eutrophic lakes. Okay. So, kung medyo turbid siya, most probably there is eutrophication. Usually, the greening of bodies of water is an indicator of eutrophication. So, pag nakita mo siyang green na there are a lot of algae and phytoplankton, so most likely that is already undergoing eutrophication process. Okay. Okay. So that is eutrophication.